From October 1st, 2019, we traveled the world with our Milady Landy, a Land Rover Defender 130 with a 300 TDI engine built in 1998. We have completely converted her into a camper with a lifting roof, our own comfortable tiny house on wheels. When people ask us how we came up with our plans to travel the world and especially why with an old Land Rover Defender, we sometimes tell a long story and sometimes a short summary. In this video we tell you why we went on a world tour, how we do it and how we got there. We also explain why we chose a Land Rover for this adventure and why she's called Milady Landy. We gave a short report of our first trips with the Old Milady Landy and especially our trip through Southern and East Africa in 2016-17. At the end of the video, we tell about our world trip so far, the influence of COVID-19 and our intended travel plans. In 1995, when we had 4 small children and worked together for their education and the payment of our house, I, Gertjan, went to Tanzania for my work as a water engineer. A drinking water system had to be built to provide the hundreds of thousands of refugees from Rwanda with drinking water. That journey and that job has lastingly influenced my further life and the life of my family. I flew to Kigali and found an airport completely destroyed. I traveled through the country and still saw traces of the terrible war that had taken place there between the Hutus and the Tutsis. But especially in the refugee camps in Maiga, northwest Tanzania, hundreds of thousands of displaced people lived together with a lack of housing, food and especially water. I had a part in devising a large-scale mobile water system that the United Nations wanted to use here to supply safe drinking water to the camps. This technical job was nice to do and was very satisfying. But what struck me most was the cordiality of the people who lived here, far from their own place and with traumas that they would carry with them for the rest of their lives. I was invited several times to their tents to tell what I came for, but above all to experience the hospitality of the people. Especially the latter, that African hospitality, made a deep impression on me. When I came home to my young family, I was overflowing with the impressions I had gained. This trip was unforgettable for me. The emotions I brought home were also intense. One time I got unreasonably angry when one of the kids put too much chocolate sprinkles on his sandwich. Sonia and I then decided that one day we would go back to Tanzania.
In the summer of 2006, Gertjan had just turned 50 and that had to be celebrated with the realization of our dream. The 6 of us went to Tanzania. We traveled around this beautiful country for 6 weeks. 2 weeks in the parks in the north, where we visited the Big Five together with guide and driver Adam. Then a 3-week trip through the south of the country, where few tourists came. We went to places even Adam had never been before, and had adventures that each of us will remember in our own way. Nature was overwhelming, but especially the unlimited hospitality of the people left an indelible impression on the 6 of us. The 6th week in Zanzibar, we relaxed and sunbathed, we sailed and snorkeled, in short, wonderfully relaxed. When we came back, Gertjan said, "I want to do this again, but with my own car." Then I thought, dream on!
In September 2007, I found an old Land Rover Series 3 on eBay that met my needs. Sonia and I had agreed that I would not pay more than 500 euros for a car. Of course, it had to be in reasonable condition and sufficiently spacious to drive us to Tanzania. This car met that. Brother Peter picked up the car and parked it at his work in England. And later I transported it, together with Dad, with a car transporter to Etten. The car then stood in the shed for a good year until my renovation of our farmhouse was finished. This is the inspection of the car by Mek Manyama, a Tanzanian water engineer who studied in Maastricht at the time and came to visit us through Adam. He approved the car for use in Tanzania. I then completely stripped the car down to the last bolt and nut, restored and reassembled it. Friend Mark helped a lot with finishing, and he is actually the basis of the name. One day he came to me and asked, "How is the lady?" "The lady? What do you mean?" "Your project, you know, what's in the back of the shed." "Oh, the Landy. After all, I was always talking about the Landy, as the English call their Land Rovers." When I started a website and a Facebook page in 2015 about the restoration of the Land Rover and our future travels, I came up with the name Milady Landy after some searching. And that name still stands, also for this YouTube channel. The maiden trip of the newly restored Landy went to France in the summer of 2014. A literal highlight was the climb of the Alpe d'Huez, when we crawled up to the top in first gear to applause, and then reached the top with satisfaction. After that summer trip, I decided that another engine was necessary, and I mounted a 200 TDI engine without turbo together with Mark. In the summer of 2015, we left together with Mark and Saskia for a 3-week tour through Morocco with the more powerful car, which was now also set up more as a camper and had been christened Milady Landy. It's great how the 4 of us enjoyed this adventure. We drove through France and Spain on smaller roads and of course enjoyed Morocco. Small narrow roads over the Atlas and driving through the desert, everything was new to us, and Saskia and Mark also enjoyed themselves fully. After the Moroccan adventure, I prepared the Old Milady Landy for our big dream adventure. I did some soundproofing, we drove with hearing protection in Morocco. optimized the layout and added some items to make the car even better overland resistant.
At first we thought that we would travel all the way overland to the south of Africa, but the situation in Mali in 2016, among others, prompted us to change our plan. At the beginning of July 2016, we therefore shipped our Milady Landy from Antwerp, Belgium to Walvis Bay in Namibia. A few weeks later, we flew to Windhoek and on to Walvis Bay to drive the car out of the harbour a little later for our unforgettable Africa adventure. We travelled through southern and East Africa for 6 months, crossing 12 countries and driving 26,000 kilometers. We saw countless animals in and outside game parks, and we met countless special and curious people.
We also had bad luck with the car and had to change our plans because the Old Milady regularly called for attention.
But we loved every moment of this trip and knew that this way of traveling could become our way of life. After returning to the Netherlands, the big thinking started for us. We knew that we wanted to make traveling our life, that we wanted to drive around the world. We had the experience of traveling to the horizon for half a year, but was it also possible?
We put everything together and came to the conclusion that if we rented out our house and worked for another year or two, we could stop working. I would then be 63 in 2019 and Sonia just 60. We are both super healthy and fit and love to discover new horizons together.
Only the Old Milady Landy was not fit anymore to accompany us for a long time when traveling. We therefore started looking for a replacement, a car with a little more comfort. Sleeping in the roof tent is fine in Africa, but under different climate conditions, we also want to be able to sleep comfortably.
In the end, we opt for the Land Rover Defender 130. Extra long for a little extra interior space and with a 300 TDI engine that is easy to maintain. After constructing the lifting roof and making the interior, a good basis was laid for our new Milady Landy. With this car, we can go around the world. Our previous experience in Morocco in 2015 was quite short, so we wanted to get to know Morocco a little better before the start of our world trip. In addition, this trip would be a nice test of our car and equipment as a foretaste for the world trip. From October 1st, 2019, we traveled slowly through Europe for 3 months to finally make the crossing to Morocco. What a beautiful country, with fantastic panoramas, challenging landscapes and roads, and above all, very hospitable and friendly people. In 3 months we crossed the whole country and saw the Atlas in the snow and the desert after a sporadic rain shower. It was fantastic, and again, especially the warm and hospitable people surprised us time and again by inviting us to their homes. However, at the beginning of March 2020, the corona pandemic also hit Morocco. That meant that the borders were closed and we could not travel further. Fortunately, we found a nice spot on a good campsite in Maiga. Camping hotel Heaven La Chance offered us all the luxury we needed for a longer stay. Good sanitary facilities, a nice swimming pool, shady spots, and above all, peace and quiet. There were 10 other campers on this campsite that can rent out at least 100 places during the high season. Despite the limitations, we ended up not being able to leave the campsite by car for almost 3 months. We had a great time and especially made new friends for life. At the beginning of June, we were able to travel in Morocco again, and at the beginning of July we had the opportunity to travel back to Europe on a ferry arranged by the German government. From southern Spain, we slowly traveled to the north. The corona restrictions gradually eased in the summer of 2020 and the borders gradually opened again. We came back to Etten-Leur in August, and because we have rented out our house, we are moving in with Mechtelt and Ande in Breda. Our new home is like a warm bath, and Milady Landy also gets her own place, where, with my help, she can rest from the trials of the journey. We are making new plans for new destinations. Scandinavia in the winter seems cool to us. Southern Europe in the next summer, and then, when the pandemic is over, we travel on to Asia. Unfortunately, the pandemic continues and we have to abandon for the time being travel outside the Netherlands. We are putting our plans on hold and making new plans for the near future. In the meantime, the tenants have decided to leave our house and we decided to sell the farmhouse which we renovated with our own hands, in which we had so many happy years and in which our children grew up. Our Milady Landy will be our home on wheels. My mother always said, making plans is fun, and if they don't go through, we make new plans again. Our original plan was to travel to Asia in 2021, via Southern Europe to Turkey and Iran, and then, later on, to Mongolia. Well, that plan is cancelled for the time being. Corona also throws a spanner in the works here. For the time being, we are going to travel around the Netherlands for a while. Our small country has kept so much hidden from us. After that, when the borders open, we want to go to Scandinavia or to Southern Europe. And after that, depending on the global development of the COVID-19 pandemic, we hope that after the winter of 2021-22, things will become a little clearer. We are both double vaccinated. Hopefully, we can travel with that again. Please like this video, keep following us, and subscribe to the newsletter on miladylandy.nl website. Become a friend of Milady Landy on Facebook or Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube video channel by clicking the subscribe button below and the bell notification button.